Hisense's flagship 110UX is a real showcase of brilliant TV technology. With a massive 110-inch panel, the TV doesn't compromise on any features to deliver a gargantuan-sized display. It is like stepping into the future. Imagine for a second, for those of you who have experienced other mini LED TVs at say 55, 65 or 75 inch, that is now double the size and at a brightness that is actually hard to look at. No, really, this TV is so bright that I don't recommend sitting anywhere further than at least 4 meters away from it. The specs on paper for this TV are often mind-blowing. The Hisense 110UX includes 40,000 local dimming zones. To put that into perspective, that is enough dimming zones to create the closest OLED black levels yet. The 40,000 dimming zones result in a picture with so little blooming that you could easily mistake this giant TV for being an OLED. I know I've said the same thing a lot over the past few months with other Hisense TVs, including the U8N, which is just brilliant, but that was before I saw the 110UX. This TV's black levels are unworldly. We then have the brightness of 10,000 nits. It filled the entire house with light, let alone just the lounge. The brightness beamed out of the windows and into the garden and down the porch out of the gate. It is like having a spotlight in your house. That is likely the best way to describe it. Of course, the 10,000 nit claim doesn't mean the TV produces 10,000 nits in all scenarios, but more on that later. Those two features alone make this Hisense 110UX unrivaled, because honestly nothing has come close to it no matter how much money you'll spend. You can't buy a projector with this level of performance, and no smaller TV, even micro LED or OLED, will come close to half of the performance of this ULED UX TV. But there's a lot more to it. The TV just works and is so brilliant at what it does. Viewing angles are excellent, the sound system is the best TV speaker I've tested too. Emphasis on the best TV speaker here, because it still doesn't beat a dedicated TV setup. Gaming is out of this world, and every piece of content that I watched transported me to my own personal cinema-like experience. Before I get into the real tests, this TV is also striking. Coming in at 116 kilograms out of the box, the Hisense 110UX is a monster. I did recently post a full unboxing and setup of the TV, but in short, I needed 4 people to help me unbox it. You have to remove the box sides, install the feet, and pick up and place the TV on a cabinet. The entire process was a bit of work only because of the sheer weight and size of the TV. The hardest part was definitely picking the TV up and lifting it high enough to place on the stand. In all honesty, I kind of wish the TV came with different legs that didn't rely on a dedicated TV stand. Perhaps legs that propped up the display about a half a meter off the ground. That way you could just have the TV on the floor without a stand. Given the price tag here, even if Hisense could add these as an optional variant in the box, it would be pretty cool. I would just personally prefer to have the TV on the floor directly because the size simply complements the position. It also allows the TV to be installed as a room divider because let's be honest, this TV is as big as a wall. There's nothing else much to share about the unboxing and setup of the TV. It does come with a completely different remote to all other Hisense TVs on the local market. The solar-powered remote is rechargeable with USB-C. It also has a solar panel on it for quick charging in the light. And there's even a lost remote feature that will make the remote buzz if you press the TV on and off button. That way you can try and locate the remote if it ever goes missing. Just saying, I did test this remote on my Hisense U8N and guess what? It worked. So Hisense, please sell these remotes separately so we can buy them and have fancier remotes on our less fancier, cheaper, smaller TVs. I beg you, because the remote that comes with the 110UX is so damn cool. Speaking of which, the TV itself is an impressive product on its own. It is surprisingly slim, and generally speaking, the display is quite stylish. I especially like the speaker layout on the sides. They are encased in this dome-shaped like mesh with these cool ventilation holes that add a premium touch to this already premium TV. The feet are pretty basic with a plain and simple black metal finish. You can also find cable management clips on both of them. The back of the TV then houses the built-in subwoofer, which is situated right in the middle behind another set of stylish blocks. The port selection is then on the left and the power cord is on the right. The TV uses a standard 3-prong power connector, which is expected given the TV's 800 watt rating. This is Escom's worst enemy, I'm not joking. When it comes to the ports, the Hisense 110UX includes 4 HDMI ports, 2 of them being HDMI 2.1 with up to 4K 144Hz support. HDMI 3 is used for ARC. You'll also find the usual RF tuner, RCA composite port, digital audio out, auxiliary out, and a USB 2.0 port. There's also an Ethernet port included with this lineup. It has all the ports that you would expect from a TV in 2025, as well as the limited HDMI 2.1 ports you would expect from a TV in 2025. The Hisense 110UX comes with reader in our region, and it is just as fluid and responsive as you would expect from it. The operating system then includes the same experience you would find elsewhere. That is to say, the menus are clear and easy to navigate around, the home screen is covered with Hisense adverts, and setting up the TV and fiddling with toggles won't leave you frustrated. I calibrated the TV, changed some settings and got it all ready to go. If you want to know how, I usually just apply a blanket white set of changes to the entire TV. I changed the color tone to a slightly warmer option, I disable all motion settings, crank local dimming to the max, slightly increase the saturation and sharpness, disable all noise reduction and upscaling settings. I then tweak these as I go about my tests to fit into the source that I'm using. First off, the general content on the Hisense 110UX is what I expected from it, superb. No matter the content I played, the TV produced it to its best of its 110-inch glory. Dolby Vision content was delivered in a perfectly mastered color range and dark levels, and even general SDR content looked surprisingly good on the TV. The brightness is an entire story on its own. The 10,000 nits of peak brightness does a lot to complement the TV, but the display doesn't technically achieve 10,000 nits in every scenario. In fact, I measured 13,000 nits of brightness in a 2% window, and it was only for a few seconds before the panel reduced the brightness down to 6,000 nits. This means the TV can easily produce incredible peak brightness levels in small spots on the screen for a few seconds, but any long-term larger size bright areas don't get as bright. Now, this really isn't a problem, to be honest, because even in a 20% window, the TV can achieve around 2,500 nits, and in a 10% window 3,500 nits. You then need to take into account that a 20% window on a 110-inch TV is a lot of screen space. The 110UX is a beastly TV considering that this panel can get this bright, and to be honest, the 13,000 nit flare-ups can be unworldly to see in person, especially when you're looking at particle effects in video games, which are often delivered in a 2% bright window. The TV can essentially produce an infinite contrast ratio too, something that is becoming quite a selling point of QLED and mini LED TVs. This means the TV can deliver the same contrast levels as an OLED TV, but of course, light blooming does get in the way of this technology. Speaking of which, blooming is also handled very well on this TV. Edges of bright content do have a very subtle glow around them when portrayed against a black background, but again, it is incredibly hard to spot the clouding on this TV. I was also impressed by how fast the TV would clean up the bloom, leaving absolutely zero trace of it behind when switching scenes. The TV continued to blow me away with its performance, from its color range that seems to be almost massively calibrated to the levels of Sony and Samsung, to its motion handling and gaming performance. I was honestly trying to find something that was wrong with this TV because it's so big. The panel cleans up jittering and has very little motion interpolation during bright moving objects. I say very little because I had to set up a very specific scenario to force the TV to show me how it handles this. It isn't something a general user will ever witness on their own. I was also impressed by the upscaling on this TV. Older, dated content looks quite good. Dare I say this upscaling chip in this TV is the best I've seen from Hisense, and it even beats their UN range from last year. It simply does a tremendous job. Even the panel on the 110UX was perfect. It was like winning the panel lottery with absolutely zero dirty corners and smudges on the panel. Again, this just goes to show the level of quality you get for a TV of this price tag. I didn't mention the panel reflection and viewing angle up until now because it really wasn't something I thought I needed to touch on. It goes without saying that with a TV this big, there's no argument on what is the best seating position for the viewing angle. I watched this TV while I cooked dinner all the way past the 170-degree mark, and I could still see the image clearly with all the great detail. You won't ever have to worry about where your chair is unless you're sitting behind the TV. Reflection is a similar story. The TV's panel handles reflection quite well, and of course the brighter panel shoots back all the back-facing windows and lights if you have anything behind you. It is glossy, so don't expect a complete anti-reflective experience here, but it does the job. Lastly, the sound. This TV comes with a 4.2.2 channel sound system that is hidden all over the TV. Hisense has put a lot of effort into making the system look cool, and it does. The back subwoofer block is nice to see, and the side pillars are incredibly stylish. In in terms of the performance, the speakers are the best TV speakers I've ever witnessed, emphasis on TV speakers. The system produces a decent amount of bass, sound is clear and punchy, and you'll get a generally louder, beefy experience from this TV than you would any other TV on the market. However, as much as Hisense has tried, this is still a TV speaker system, and it is restricted by physics. There's essentially no surround sound here because it is all emulated, but the stereo speakers work very well in giving you a balance between left and right. I think if Hisense were to add a few up-firing and down-firing speakers to the TV, it might create a more dome-like surround sound experience. They do the job though, but again, if you want true Dolby Atmos, you'll need more physical speakers around this TV. In the end, the Hisense 110UX is one of my favorite pieces of tech that I've had the opportunity to review. Everything from the unboxing to the testing was met with a little bit of intimidation and excitement. This is a TV you brag about, a TV that starts a discussion amongst visitors, while at the same time, a TV that kicks ass when it comes to its performance. It is hard to believe that no corners were cut to make a TV this size. Not only that, but this display packs performance that puts everything else to shame. So it isn't even just a bigger Hisense U8N, it is really in its league of its own. I know it is difficult to describe how great this TV is, especially if you're watching it on a video, but it really is an excellent TV. So that's my experience with the Hisense 110UX. A big thanks to Hisense for sending this TV over for me to test out. I had it for the holiday season and it really was a welcome addition to the household. I really appreciate it. If you have 300,000 rand to throw around and you're looking at a TV, this is just a no-brainer, but you have to question why you're spending 300,000 rand on a TV in the first place. As usual, thanks for stopping by and giving this video a watch. While you're here, please do consider liking and subscribing for future content like this, and visit glitch.online for more gaming tech news and reviews. Until next time, farewell.